Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Pathways to Success with Ali, the podcast where we explore many different routes people take to building meaningful and fulfilling careers. I'm your host, Ali, and each week I sit down with someone who's navigating key decision making moments, choosing GCSEs, A levels, degrees, and the different career paths they may be interested in. And we hopefully will have the opportunity to hear what their pathway has been and what they've learned along the way. And today's guest is Feezan. He's one of my former A-level chemistry students who studied chemistry, physics, and maths. Went on to complete a Master of Engineering, Aerospace, Aeronautical, Astronautical Engineering at Queen Mary's University, London. He graduated with a first class honours degree, which is fantastic. And he's now pursuing a PhD in intelligent transport, specialising in AI in air traffic management. Feezan, thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor to be on your podcast series.
Nah,
So it's
amazing,
about time.
amazing. Yeah, no, I think it's just like at the time you came into the careers fair
Yeah,
last year, I think it was, wasn't it? And then you're doing this amazing stuff, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I feel like so many people can learn from your journey. So I'm so glad you're here today. So thank
yeah,
you
thank
for
you.
making the time.
No worries, thank you.
Okay, so to start us off, could you introduce yourself and tell us and our listeners a bit about what you're currently doing, who you are, and just a bit about yourself, really?
Yeah, so my name is Feezan. I'm a PhD student at Queen Mary University of London, studying, as Mr. Abda said, AI in aerospace engineering. So my research focuses on optimizing the routing and scheduling of aircraft from the gate to the runway. So that's a bit about my research. My background, like Mr. Abda said, yeah, it's in aerospace engineering. So I did an integrated master's degree there. And obviously we met back in school days. You were my chemistry teacher. So yeah, it all began there. And yeah, I wouldn't have thought I'd be doing a PhD right now, to be honest, especially since during the sixth form time. That's a bit about me, to be honest. In terms of my hobbies, I did play a bit of football at university. Nowadays, I like to hit the gym just to sort of get away from studies for a bit because PhD can be it is quite challenging actually, and it does take up quite a bit of time. Yeah, aside from that, also started doing a bit of teaching at university as well. Or as a PhD student, we do a lot of sort of demonstrating roles, teaching IT classes, real sessions, that sort of stuff. So that's quite enjoyable as well.
Okay, cool. So that's fantastic. I think it's important that, like you said, being you're doing different things outside of your kind of academic life.
Yeah,
You're going to the gym, playing football and stuff like that. It's important as well to keep your mind off of things. Especially when you're doing a PhD, it's probably super stressful. We'll talk about what the things you've been doing with that as well shortly. Now, let's rewind back to, let's say, school for a moment, for instance. So when you were choosing your A level subjects, what kind of student were you? And what did you enjoy most about A levels? And I know you chose very, very, very academic subjects, some of the most highest, hardest A levels you can do. So you did chemistry, physics, and maths. And what made you choose those combination? I want to know. And was that part of the career plan, or was that kind of more to keep your options open at the time? Because I feel like a lot of the times, like students at this point might not know what to do. So just to hear about your journey would be quite interesting.
yeah. I think towards the beginning of school, high school, I was bit of a quiet student. Don't think I had much confidence in me. But as I progressed throughout the years, I started to build a bit more confidence. So by the time I came to sixth form, I think I was quite sociable. I was more of a collaborative worker rather than an independent worker, I'd definitely say. In terms of the subjects, I think it's a bit of both. I chose these subjects because I enjoyed the maths, physics, and chemistry. And I just wanted to keep my options open a bit as well. So I did have a passion for engineering. I wasn't too sure which type of engineering I wanted to go for. So I thought, you know what, I'll pick maths and physics again, quite important for aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, that sort of stuff. And then obviously chemistry, uh, for chemical engineering, for example, and other disciplines. So I thought I'd keep my options a bit open and yeah, I was up for a challenge as well, so I thought, why not? Let's pick some of the hardest A levels. I think I didn't really comprehend the gap between GCSE and A levels. I think that gap has been bridged a bit more now since my times. But I mean, I thought, I studied 11 subjects for GCSE. I mean, studying three should be fine, right? but clearly it was quite challenging.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something a lot of students still feel today. The kind of transition from GCSEs to A levels is always a bit challenging. And I think the subjects you picked as well, a lot of people would think, oh, they're like strong subjects because which they are, and they open up many doors. And I feel like you had a combination of subjects that would kind of give you various different pathways you could go down potentially. So would you say like at that time, did you have like a specific, I know you mentioned about engineering, would you say there was a specific career in mind at that point, or was just any engineering was kind of in your mindset at the time?
Yeah, it was just sort of, I wasn't too sure or what to do, I'll be honest with you. I think that's
Sure.
something which is important to tell current students as well. I mean, I'm doing a PhD now, but back then I was in the same boots as everyone else, I just
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. So,
Yeah.
did a bit of research, thought, you know what, my strengths lie in sort of quantitative sort of subjects like maths. So I thought I'd try go for engineering. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to specifically choosing aerospace engineering, yeah, I was quite fascinated about how aircraft sort of fly in the sky. I was I was quite interested in cars initially, but then I just thought, you know what, these things are cars, but how do they stay up in the air? So I
Mm.
started doing a bit more research into it. I thought, you know what, this is the perfect sort of degree to go for.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to kind of, I know you kind of mentioned some of it already, but I was going to reflect on your A levels a little bit because I know many people do chemistry at our school, and a lot of them usually do it because they have to do medicine. They want to do medicine, so they have to
Yeah.
do it, kind of thing. But not knowing the challenges they would face, and not knowing how hard it is ultimately. So looking back now, just kind of delving into how useful were those A level subjects in preparing for your degree and the research that you had to do around that time to choose your degree that you did. And beyond science itself, what skill do you think studying chemistry helped to develop as well?
Okay, so I think we'll leave maths and physics aside because that's obviously something which is quite straightforward that I needed in my degree. For
Absolutely.
chemistry, yeah, there were some modules at university which I studied. They were sort of chemical related, like thermodynamics, for example.
Mm,
Which is, even though it's a branch of physics, it's the study of entropy and heat transfer, that sort of stuff. So, these are some of the things I studied in chemistry. Apart from the
hmm
scientific knowledge, the reason why I think, this is my personal opinion, why chemistry is quite hard is because it requires you to have a few different skills, analytical skills, quantitative skills. You need to know your maths in that sense. There's a lot of theory as well. So you need to have sort of slightly good memory, I guess. You need to learn all of this content and then application, applying it to exam questions. There's a whole range of skills that you actually need to excel in chemistry at A level. And then studying chemistry just builds upon those skills, which are very useful in university. One of them being report writing, scientific
mm,
writing, those others. That's something which I think that schools should definitely focus on more. Because when you get to university and you start writing your report, you don't know how to structure it. You've got no clue. So it's more about making mistakes and learning from them during university. When I think we should put an emphasis on that during sixth form at least, to be honest, which
hmm
chemistry does, and the sciences do a bit more than the other subjects. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think, like you said, like as soon as you pick maths and physics, and a lot of people will be like, oh, this person must be going into something to do with engineering,
Yeah.
and then you normally pick a third subject, and usually, someone goes for something maybe completely random potentially, and
Yeah.
sometimes people go for something they enjoy. And I think so. Picking your subjects at the time, would you say like was there anything to do with, man, my friends are doing it, or was it? Would you say like it was more to do with you knew like chemistry is something that you may, like you said, the skills you learn in chemistry is beyond just academics. You learn about the analytical side of things. You learn about how to delve into various problem solving issues and things like that. So would you say like choosing chemistry was something that was like an option that you didn't really want to do it, but you kind of did it because you enjoyed it? What was your reasoning? Sorry, just wanted to kind of delve just to kind of
Yes.
clarify that again.
No, no, of course. Yeah, so I think this is one advice I would give to students as well, is definitely pick one subject which you really enjoy. Yeah, so not necessarily all three, but one subject, because not many people, you rarely meet people who have that sort of level of self-motivation. A lot of people, you get motivated by the people around you or by just enjoying a subject, for example. So that was with me. I really enjoyed these subjects, especially chemistry. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I was the best at it, but I really sort of enjoyed it. And
I think you're good. You're really good.
yeah, I think I improved as I was doing it. But yeah, it was more so that I enjoyed it really. I think you have to have that combination of having the passion, being passionate for that subject, as well as subjects being relevant for your future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Amazing. So I know you went on to study aerospace, aeronautical, and astronautical engineering. Math, that's a mouthful itself.
Yeah, I just call it
What?
aerospace engineering.
Why that degree? And I know you chose to do it at Queen Mary's University of London. During that time, what research did you carry out to choose the university that you did? And so, yeah, just talk us through your journey along that line, basically.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of my personal opinion. I wanted to go for a university, ideally a Russell Group university in London.
Hmm.
So not a lot of universities were doing aerospace engineering, were offering the course at
Mm,
that time. And then I went to Queen Mary to one of the open days,
hmm.
and I really enjoyed it. I think it
Okay.
was just the atmosphere,
Mm,
which really, it was quite a sociable atmosphere compared to other universities where, it's the atmosphere is a bit more eerie. So
hmm.
yeah, with Queen Mary, I visited the laboratory as well, the Aero Lab.
Mm,
They have the oldest Aero Lab, and they've been doing research for decades, in aerospace engineering. So that's what sort of leaned me towards doing a degree at Queen Mary. I think it was
hmm.
because of the facilities and because of the environment there.
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of people, I encourage them to, go to open day, see it for yourself before you decide to go somewhere. Because once you're there, you get to see really for yourself what it's like, number one, and then do your research around the university as well, like the history behind it, what they specialize in, what are the things that they're known for. And so then that'll help you also to make your decision because there's so many options out there, and you just gotta make what's right for you, the choice right for you, basically at the end, right? So yeah, brilliant. Now, obviously, going from we talked about the transition from GCSE to A level. That's one thing, and then in between studying A levels and studying engineering at university, like the transition to university, what would you say like some of the challenges you faced, and what helped you kind of what was the biggest difference? Would you say basically?
I think it's being more independent. So of
Mm,
course, studying A levels, yeah, you are independent to a certain extent, but you still have teachers around you, right, that you can
absolutely.
sort of go to. Where the university is completely different. There's no one
Hmm.
pushing you,
Yeah.
to sort of submit your coursework for deadlines, revise for exams, etc.
Hmm.
So I think that was sort of the main difference. The difference between studying A levels and studying a degree at university, in my opinion, A levels are sort of you're more, I would say, under pressure because you've got three subjects, sometimes even four subjects you're studying within 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure. With the university, yeah, the level of difficulty does increase, but it's less pressure, right? Because you've only got a few lectures a week and you're going into some specific research, really, into one field of research rather than three different subjects. So I think that's sort of the difference.
Mm, agreed. And I think one of the things I wanted to just kind of talk to you about is in a lot of people that do A levels and then they don't take us seriously to begin with in year 12, and then they realize very quickly like how important year 12 is and the workload that is involved. Obviously, going to university, we try to support young people with, teaching them the importance of independent learning, importance of being organized, the importance of, meeting deadlines. And, currently I have that issue where a lot of they don't understand the meaning of deadlines. Like, can you tell us about how important meeting deadlines are at university? Like what kind of consequences there are. So then some people who are, people that are currently in A levels can
Yeah.
understand the consequences of not meeting deadlines.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, if you miss a deadline without a really good reason, what I mean a really good reason could be a medical reason, could be family
Hmm.
emergency, that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
You would just get zero in that coursework sort of thing. Yeah, it depends how big the coursework is. If the coursework,
Mm,
I think in my university, if it's less than 20% or something like that, then you just get a straight zero. So you've
mm,
lost 20% of that module. So that's almost your hopes of getting a first in that module gone. If it's a much, much bigger coursework, if the whole module is based on one coursework, for example, every day you'll be losing something like 5 or 10% that you submit late. So there's huge, huge sort of what can I say? You could say, I mean, affect a really negative effect on your studies for missing deadlines.
yeah.
Deadlines you have to adhere to at university. Yeah, and like I said, no one's gonna be coming behind you, telling you off, sort of thing. So if
Hmm.
you miss it, you miss it. There's
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it. If you have a
Yeah.
medical reason, a family emergency, yeah, there are some extenuating circumstances. But even for then, you have to fill in forms, possibly even do an interview, and then later on redo that coursework alone. If it's a
Yeah.
group coursework, you probably have to do it alone. So I mean, it's really strict. It's
Yeah,
nothing
absolutely.
like school.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in school, like you said, you're kind of almost your hand is held through it almost, even though
Yeah,
we try to take the hand away. And then when you're there in the real world, it's like you're out completely on your own, and there's nobody else there to support you, to spoon feed you, or anything like that. You have to think for yourself, make decisions for yourself, and
yeah,
make those, those make key decisions is really important. Otherwise, you're gonna either, like you said, lose out on your first class honors because you missed out on,
exactly.
whatever kind of thing. Yeah, exactly, absolutely. No, that's really. I hope the people are listening. You understand the importance of being deadlines, because even in the professional world, if you're somebody, punctuality is so important, and if you're missing, you're late to work all the time, or your boss is not going to be happy.
Yeah,
If you're
exactly.
somebody who's running a company, you're a business owner, you're not going to be late to your own business, are you? Because you want to open it on time for your customers, whatever it may be, right? So it's important. Meeting deadlines and being on time is absolutely crucial to success in many, many fields, all across different fields.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Now, I know for a fact, like, you've gone on to graduate with a first class honors degree, which is phenomenal achievement. By
Thank
the
you.
way, really congratulations to you on that. What habits, routines, or approaches that helped you succeed academically, would you say?
I think having some sort of schedule. So I'll be honest with you, the reality is you might not always follow your schedule. There might be some events, circumstances that happen where you're not able to 100% fully follow a schedule, but have that in place. I mean, my way of doing things was I'd put reminders in my phone for certain things, certain times that I might need to do some work or attend office hours with a professor, for example, something like that. I'd put
Hmm.
reminders in my phone a couple of days before. So I'm not much of a person where I do, a whole schedule a month in advance. Some people are. It's just not for me because I do tend to forget some things. So I put in
Hmm.
reminders in my phone. That's one thing that really helped me. Another thing is I think it's the group around you, definitely, that you need people who are able to push you, motivate you, and vice versa,
Hmm.
specifically in your course as well, or even students who don't necessarily do your course but share some of the modules with you. I think that it's really important to have that group of people with the same sort of mentality because a lot of studying, I mean, this is me personally, I prefer group study rather than independent study most of the time. Of course, sometimes you have to do courseworks on your own, etc. But a lot of the time I preferred studying or revising in groups rather than alone. So that's what really helped me as well.
Brilliant. I think having a good, like you said, having been organized with that. Like I still use my phone even till this day, like to set myself reminders on my
Yeah,
phone, and I use this app like to do task, and it helps me to, because we're always on our phone. Let's be honest, like
yeah,
most of us,
100%.
and so it's easier to keep out there. But yeah, everyone works different ways, so you just gotta find what works for you, and definitely use that. That's really helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
Well,
Were there any moments during your degree where you struggled or you doubted yourself, and how did you push through those challenges?
yeah, I mean, many times throughout my degree, there were struggles. Sometimes you just get demotivated.
Mm,
Like I said, there's very few people in the world who sort of have that level of self-motivation, who are
mm,
always consistently passionate about the subject they study. So there are moments where you lose that motivation to study. I think my family was definitely, uh, they played a quite important role in this, where
mm-hmm.
I just talk to my sisters or my brother and just tell them, yeah, university is a bit difficult, I'm struggling. And then they'll sort of just calm me down, give me a bit of motivational speech, that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Yeah, so sometimes it's not necessarily students who are doing the same degree as you, it's your family that really, sometimes
Mm,
pick you up and
100%.
push you.
Because I think you got to remember, when you're at school or uni or a professional setting, you're always with around those people. But people that are close to you, like your family and maybe some friends that know you really well, they're quick to see, if you're down or if you're feeling a bit
Yeah,
low. And
100%.
having
Yeah.
that support system is really, really important. So that's reassuring to hear that obviously you've had that behind you to support you through your journey. Because university can be lonely sometimes when it gets really tough, and it's important that people use the support systems, whatever that may be, and make sure that they use that. So yeah, definitely recommend people who are going through a difficult time, whether it be at uni or college or school, whatever it may be, use a support system around you and speak to somebody, and they'll be able to give you maybe some guidance because they've been through it before, and so able to
Yeah,
support you with that.
100%. Yeah,
Absolutely.
over the years as well, the universities, they've been introducing these counseling support schemes as well and that sort of stuff. So it's been really helpful, especially
Hmm.
for students who come from abroad or who live out, so they
Hmm.
can get quite learning, especially during holidays and that sort of stuff. So yeah, definitely. I would recommend using these sort of counseling support if anyone needs it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
most, if not all, universities I think offer it now, which is really good.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I know you're doing a PhD now in intelligent transport, focusing on AI and air traffic management, and you've recently come back from a conference from Slovenia, I believe. Talk us through how would you explain your research to someone with no technical background at all? Yeah, and what? Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, so imagine, the airport airside is like a big car park, right? So imagine you're in a car park, with a maze in it essentially. You're trying to get your car out, you're trying to get to the exit. Airports are similar in the sense that aircraft have to get pushed back from the gate at the right time, specific
Hmm.
time. They need to leave the gate, go along these narrow roads called taxiways, possibly go across some intersections where they might have to wait for the aircraft, and then finally eventually reaching the runway at a specific time. But now imagine you've got hundreds of aircraft doing exactly the same thing, right? So things can get chaotic and quite hectic. So that's where my research comes in. What my research is based on is optimizing the routing and scheduling of aircraft. So taking into account all of these different constraints. For example, we're trying to minimize fuel consumption and taxiing time of aircraft. Yeah, so trying to get them as quickly as we can to the runway, in the most efficient manner, fuel efficient manner, and then taking into account all of these hundreds of aircraft at the same time using AI essentially. So that's what my research is based on, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's so interesting. That is so interesting. I think it's a very niche field as well, isn't it? Because not many people would go into
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Over the previous sort of decades, this wasn't an issue, right?
yeah.
Because what airports would do is they just build and increase the infrastructure. But now space becomes a limited resource.
Mm.
So now they can't build upon resources now, so they have to optimize the limited resources they have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And obviously air traffic demand's just increasing every year.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, more and more people are using, flying and stuff. So yeah, no, brilliant. And I think obviously you talked about doing your masters and the rest of it. Like doing a PhD itself, that's such a big jump because many people will just do the undergraduate and then they'll probably find a job or do go into industry.
Yeah.
Some will go on to do a masters potentially, and then very few people go on to pursue a PhD. So what was it about? What inspired you to pursue a PhD?
So initially, yeah, I was actually thinking of going into industry, possibly for some engineering role. Then I came across this opportunity, which was being advertised within university. It was by one of my lecturers, actually.
Okay.
So I just did a bit of search on Google, what's the advantages of studying a PhD, etc. And then it came up with, saying that it's more of a flexible 9 to 5, right, than a 9 to 5 job,
Mm.
and you get to, I guess, go into really specific details in terms of the specific field of research. And so I thought, you know what, I just emailed my lecturer. So I emailed him, and then he sort of influenced me to do a PhD. It was a studentship actually, so it's being funded by EPSRC, which is the Engineering Research Council in the UK,
Mm.
and NATS, National Air
Hmm.
Traffic Services. So the company who basically provide and manage the UK's sort of airspace and air traffic services.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned about studentship. So anyone that doesn't know what that is, like, how does their studentship work? Because obviously, when you apply for PhD, there's various format you can do one via. So like, some of them are self-funded, some of them are through studentship. So just tell us quickly a little bit about studentships.
Yeah, I think the really good thing is they've started introducing this a lot more over the past few years. A PhD studentship is essentially a sponsorship. So a company or a research council or the government, whoever it may be, they fund your fees for your PhD, but then they also give you a stipend. You could say like an equivalent salary on top of that. So not only do they pay for your university fees, but they actually sort of pay you to carry out the research, which is really good.
I personally think as well, like with that, the companies should be giving you a stipend amount because you're
Yeah.
doing the research for them. So it's only right that they do. Yeah. Sorry, you're gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. I think there's a lot of advantages of doing a PhD studentship compared to PhD. Obviously, apart from the financial advantage, is also that you have these weekly meetings, or I do at least, or regular meetings with the company. So I've got supervisors from the company as well as my
Right.
university. It's sort of you have to sort of keep on top of it and carry on carry on making progress in your research compared to if you were to do like a self-funded PhD, you might take your time. There might not be someone sort of pushing you to do it, and then you might be missing deadlines, etc. So
Mm,
for me, I'm sort of more under pressure producing like a paper that will be published rather than my own thesis, for example,
mm.
which I think is good in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So in terms of, I know you just come back from the conference in Slovenia, and this is now going to international level stuff you're doing, which is fantastic. So tell us about your little experience there, because that itself is such a big deal, I would say. And also I want to kind of delve into a little bit about what kind of differences you found between your undergraduate studying and you're doing your masters, and then currently doing a PhD. Like, what would you say some of the challenges are between those two as well?
Yeah, so yeah, I came back I went beginning of this month for a few days in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, which is a really beautiful city. The conference was literally right next to or in front of Lake Bled,
Hmm.
which is a really beautiful sort of blue lake. It's quite a traditional town on the outskirts of the main city. So the scenery was really beautiful. In terms of the actual conference, yeah, it was really good. It was hosted by Eurocontrol. So
Okay.
they do this every year. My research was part of the poster exhibition there, alongside my colleagues from Queen Mary as well. And yeah, it was good to see all of the different research that is going on with regards to air traffic management, not just in the
Mm,
UK, but across the whole of Europe. It was really interesting because you can see that the EU, for example, Eurocontrol, they collaborate with all of the different countries in Europe when it comes to research. So they have such a wide, just a broad number of companies who get together and universities who get together and produce, such vast amounts of research, global scale research,
mm,
which was really interesting. Again, I got to meet so many new people from air traffic controllers to sort of CEO of aircraft companies, etc. So yeah, it was a really good experience. It was my first conference outside of the UK actually. So yeah, it was a good experience.
cool. I think especially when you're in a stage where people from all over Europe, first of all, are there, it's going to be always a very daunting experience, and you get to share your journey so far, your research updates to with people who are experts in the industry. So
Yeah.
having people there judging you is always scary and nerve-wracking. So really well done to you for going through that, because that would have been a really good experience for you as well. Brilliant. So right, so in terms of, like, obviously PhD research skills are going to be very similar, but it's still different to what you'd have done for your undergraduate as well. So, what skill do you think are most important for PhD research, and which ones would you say aren't being taught enough of in schools at the moment?
I think report writing, yeah, I put a lot of emphasis in that. I think that is really important, especially at university in general. I think that's something which definitely should be taught. There should be some sort of workshops at school that should be teaching students or introducing them to how to write reports, in terms of its structure, using scientific language, etc. So that's really important. The difference between studying an undergraduate study and masters and comparing that to PhD, I think PhD is much more even more independent. You don't have specific modules that you study. It's more of you start your research, you get support from your
Mm,
supervisors. If there's some sort of knowledge that you're lacking, then you discuss this with your supervisor, and they can potentially put you on a course, for example, to undergo. But most part, it's really sort of independent studying. So sometimes you feel like that you don't have much support. So, sometimes you sit down trying to work out a problem or an issue, and it takes you a couple of days, sometimes even weeks to solve, rather than, for example, if you were doing an undergraduate study, most of the modules you study there, it's more of a right or wrong answer kind of thing. Or if you need help, just go to your supervisor to just sort of explain the solution to you. But this is something, which is different, because a PhD, you're doing groundbreaking research, right? You're undertaking research which has never been done before, essentially. So it is quite challenging.
absolutely. Okay, so in terms of, I want to kind of go into, like, reflect on a bit of about your successes and setbacks you've had as well over the years, and how you deal with it. So, what would you say has been the most important lesson your academic journey has taught you so far?
That's quite a tough question. I think it's probably perseverance, I think. Don't
Mm,
give up too easily.
yeah.
I think that's what's been for me, especially throughout my years of studying. If you're not sure about something, don't just move on from it. Just don't just give up. Really delve into the details and try figure things out. What I tended to do was if there was a problem that I would be stuck on, I try really my best to do it myself. Even if I couldn't solve the problem, I always gained some knowledge which I didn't know before, and then I'd go to my colleagues, and then if not, I'd go to my professors. So I think perseverance is really key, throughout your time, especially at university.
Okay. So like I know everyone kind of defines success in different ways. Has your definition of success changed from when you were choosing your A levels or finishing your A levels to now? Like after
Yeah,
doing your masters and now you're doing
yeah. I think people from academia are probably gonna hate me for saying this, but when I was in sixth form, my definition of success was grades, right?
mm,
And it was the be or end all for me kind of thing. But now it's different, right? Grades are, it's not the be all or end all kind of thing. Some students, they just don't necessarily do well in exams, for example, and there's
hmm
other ways of assessing students rather than just written exams. So I think that was the definition of success for me back then, and it's changed quite a bit. At university, your success depends on I mean, if you look at my PhD, for example, my success depends on the quality of my research. This is quantitative, qualitative research. It depends on how well I write my report, my thesis, and it depends on how well I present it orally as well, verbally to an expert audience. So it's all of these different range of skills that I needed to become successful,
hmm
not just sort of exam
just
exams.
grades. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, you're right. No, I don't think anyone. I think it's true what you've said because
Yeah,
a lot of the times when you kind of bound yourself with, oh, I have to get this A or this B or this A star or whatever it may be, or this, if you're doing GCSEs numbers like 7, 8, 9s and what have you, and you kind of put yourself in this category, all of a sudden you're kind of putting yourself in a barrier almost. And you don't, success isn't just that because there are some people who might get a grade 9 and then someone in your GCSE might get like a 7 or an 8. And then go on to getting, for A level, that 7 or 8 person might be much more prepared for doing A levels than the person getting a 9. And we see that all the time, like the mindset and the skill sets that you learn from your studies, what you take with you, and how you deal with the success isn't measured by just a grade. Basically, there are more than it's
yeah,
more than that.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely right. Cool, wicked. So now, obviously, what advice would you give to, I would say, like to students then? So let's say, for example, currently choosing their A levels or currently, choosing a degree that they want to pursue, especially because they'll be feeling very overwhelmed or pressurized to get it almost right. So what
Yeah.
would you say? Um,
I think it's a balance between what you enjoy, is suitable for you, or what is relevant for your career path, and what you're good at. Yeah. I think it's a balance between these three. For example, if you're choosing A-level subjects, pick one subject you enjoy, one or two which are relevant to your career path or you're essentially good at. So
mm.
I think having that balance is very important. And you can apply that at university as well, especially if you're applying to university now, you're in year 12, year 13, definitely go for a subject which has a balance of these three things. Yeah.
So like, I know I speak to many students who want to pursue something in engineering, and they always say, oh, "I'm not going to be good enough, or I'm not smart enough." What would you say to someone considering engineering or a STEM-related subject, but they might be worried about not being good enough? What would you say to them?
I mean, engineering is so broad. There's all sorts of different engineering disciplines. So you'll definitely find a field within engineering where, you'll find that is suitable for you. I mean, I think there is a perception of everyone or has to go to university, for example, to study. I mean, nowadays there's some excellent apprenticeships, even degree apprenticeships as well, especially within engineering. So you can take all these different career paths, and
Mm,
academic paths rather than just going to university.
yeah. No, you're right. I think because, like you said, you just touched upon this. It's just because for students now, they've got to decide between it might be university or an apprenticeship, or there are other routes as well. What kind of question do you think they should be asking themselves to decide between those? Because a lot of, like you said, there are so many good degree apprenticeships now available. There are so many high level apprenticeships available. So, like, there are so many options out there for them, but a lot of them are kind of almost fixated on doing university only. And I know some of that comes from home as well, because there's a lot
Yeah.
of lack of education at home, parents not understanding the difference between a university and an apprenticeship and things like that. So just a bit of advice you'd give to them, like what kind of questions should they be asking themselves?
Yeah, so of course, even now there are a lot of apprenticeships, but yeah, not all degrees have equivalent sort of apprenticeship
Yeah,
right now,
correct.
unfortunately. In
Yeah,
the future, hopefully there will be. But
yeah.
yeah, you'll have to you obviously have to take that into account, right? So if there is no opportunity within apprenticeships, then you'll
Hmm.
have to obviously go towards the university path. But within engineering, I really do emphasize people going for degree apprenticeships. I mean, essentially, you're getting paid to not only attend university, get a degree out of it. It might be a year or two longer, but you're getting paid. Obviously, it's great, right? And also you're going to get industrial experience as well. So rather than going through university, doing a placement, which is again is really good as well, I'd recommend that. But you can do all of that within a degree apprenticeship. Obviously, the difference between them two, to a certain extent, is obviously the social life, right? So if you really want to go, experience that social life at university, again, you can experience that within degree apprenticeships as well, because some of them
Mm,
are quite far away. So you'll have to obviously live out, be independent, meet new people, and a lot of apprenticeships are students like yourselves anyway. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite
mm,
biased in this that I would definitely, even though I didn't do apprenticeship myself, there weren't many opportunities. I
mm,
would definitely, the students
mm.
who are going for engineering, definitely try to find a degree apprenticeship if there is one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think I agree, 100% agree with you. Like I echo the same, because I feel like there are some really good opportunities available with a degree apprenticeship. It's like it'd be like almost silly to miss out on those opportunities, and they are really really tough, of course. So it's not straightforward. So a lot of people, they don't realize how competitive it is. So obviously, don't think it's just easy to get one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
yeah,
hard, but you
exactly.
got to be prepared for it, taking the interviews and all the different stages you have to get through as well. But that's a whole different thing itself, anyway. But you're right. I think you kind of nailed that really well, because if you can do a degree apprenticeship in something, why would you go to university when you can be paid for doing,
Yeah.
the same thing?
And
So yeah.
yeah, and
Mm.
definitely keep your options open as well. I mean, you can apply to apprenticeships and university. So
Exactly.
obviously
Exactly. That's
don't
so
forget.
true. You can apply for both and then see whatever you're successful in and then go with that. Because sometimes, one of the things I truly believe is that we plan and God has a plan.
Yeah,
And then
100%.
the best plan always going to be from whatever God's written for you.
Yeah.
So you might think that's right for you at that time, might not be. And potentially whatever's right for you is going to fall in place without even thinking, basically. Right. So I feel like you kind of already kind of answered some of this as well. But like, if you were to go back to younger self, whether that be choosing your A levels or choosing your degrees, or your degree that you did, is there anything you were worried about back then in hindsight? Were there things that you might, thought twice about? What would you say to your younger self?
So I think, yeah, back then I was worried about just academic success, right? And just trying to go for like the top universities just because it looked good, kind of thing. So it's more of pleasing the sort of society, really, isn't it? Rather than
Mm,
doing what I genuinely wanted to do. So I think to those students right now who are studying A levels or just finished the GCSEs, don't be pressured by society just to go, for perfection, for example, because no one's perfect,
mm,
and we don't live in an ideal world. So you have to take reality into account and just do something which you enjoy, which you're passionate for, especially when it comes to the subjects you study and the university degree and the university you want to go to. Don't be I would say don't be fake to yourself in that sense, right?
mm.
You have to be quite realistic to yourself and don't be pressured by society, definitely, yeah. But those around you especially.
So you mentioned about the pressure by society or those around you. Like you can probably relate to this as basically, this is again, I feel like maybe you don't have to answer it as well, but like in terms of, I feel like a lot of people are coming from Asian family backgrounds. There's a lot of parental pressure. There's a lot of like, this is what parents want you to do, and this is what they feel is right for you. What would you say, or was there anything that you could maybe relate to here? Like you had to have faced those challenges, or how would you give advice to somebody who is having to like kind of listen to their parents because it's important, but at the same time telling them about their interests and what's right for them especially in the world that we're in today. There's so many more opportunities that a lot of people are still unaware of. So like, how do they juggle between those kind of decision making factors involving parents and family at home?
Yeah, I think that's quite tough, but I think communication is really key. I think you have to sort of tell your family, I guess. I mean, I did engineering, so and
Yeah.
I think engineering, medicine, or these sorts of subjects, parents, especially within the Asian community, they really push for, right? But I would say definitely talk to your parents. If you're trying to do something which you believe is like a taboo subject, for example, within the Asian community, definitely explain it, introduce it to your parents, get them to understand it. I think nowadays, because of social media, there's a lot of awareness now in terms of all of these different subjects that have come into play. So I think definitely communication is key in that sense, and really don't be afraid to have a chat with them, especially at a young age, because slowly they'll start understanding where your passions lie, what you enjoy, etc.
I think one of the things for students listening as well is parents do come from a good place. They come from a place where they want you to do well. So the traditional doing medicine or dentistry or law or engineering, it comes from a good place because these are careers which will set you up for life.
100%.
They're careers that you're supporting, helping people in a way that you can't even imagine. So these are things, there's a reason behind it at the end of the day. And, there's that whole immigrant dream. It's like if my son made it as a
Yeah,
doctor or dentist or, a lawyer, then you made it almost. This is because they want you to do well. So don't take it as a negative thing when they're telling you this.
yeah,
But at the
exactly.
same time, have those conversations. Have a transparency in conversations because you can then explain to them like, oh, you know what, there's computer science now, mom, or, dad, or these are things because this field is growing in a different way now because of the social media world that we're in. And you may be able to explain it to them, they'll understand. So don't just, think they want the worst for you. They do want good for you and they want you to do well. That's the main reason behind it, really. But yeah, thank you for explaining. That's really helpful. Right, looking ahead, let's go forward now. So what excites you most about the future of AI and intelligent transport systems?
That's quite a tough question.
Well, where do you see yourself, like your career leading, like where
Yeah.
after your PhD, basically?
So I've got two main options, to be honest. Carry on within academia,
Mm-hmm.
so go into some postdoctoral research and then possibly becoming a lecturer, etc. Or go into industry. So I mean, even right now, I'm still not sure
Mm,
between the two,
mm,
because again, there's so many benefits and drawbacks for both. But that's something I think I'll have to start thinking about next year. So I mean, in terms of the future of AI, there's so much potential. AI has been linked to so many different subjects now. I think the two main sort of benefits of AI, one is that it can be used for optimization, right? So things can always be made better. So if you look at industry, it doesn't matter what discipline the industry is, what field of industry it is, there's always going to be something which doesn't work or something which is quite inefficient, which you can make better, improve. And using AI, you can figure out what that is, etc. And then the second benefit of AI is the prediction models, right? So it can be used to predict things, which obviously you can save a lot of money and save a lot of time. For example, AI is used in predicting like a collision happening, for example, in aircraft and cars, very important because the safety critical environments. So these two things that AI does to improve, you can apply it to any industry.
okay. So I think, yeah, no, that's helpful because I feel like with your, your future, like you got to decide between obviously whether you choose to go down academia route or industry or something else even, who knows. But like you said, like it's always you're still unsure, and that's okay because you can still think about it. You got so many options on your plate, so that's good. I hopefully you'll make the right decision. You'll see what's right for you, and you'll go with
Yeah,
that anyway. Your
exactly.
gut feeling is always
I tell myself, I mean, I was unsure throughout all these years,
yeah.
so it's not a big thing if I'm unsure right now, I'm sure
Yeah, I
things
mean,
will work out.
exactly, exactly. And I think if you think about it, like, well, did you ever think about yourself doing a PhD right now?
Never, never.
Yeah, so
Probably
there
didn't
you
even
have
know
it.
what a PhD was back then, yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes things just fall in place without you even realizing,
Yeah,
which isn't this always the best for you, and you realize at the end like why you did what you did. It may almost make sense then. But yeah, no, that's brilliant. Now I want to basically finish off with a quick fire round. So I'll ask you some questions, and then I want you to just answer the first thing that comes to mind,
okay,
basically.
cool.
You ready for it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. Right. So go to snack or drink.
Anything chocolatey, really.
Okay. Favorite book or podcast.
So there's a current book I'm reading right now. I don't read many books, by the way. I know it's probably quite bad, but it's called A Path to Knowledge.
Okay.
So it's a really old book, which has been translated from Arabic to English,
Okay.
about basically advice on how to study. So it's really good.
Right.
Yeah. How to
Okay. I'll
gain
have to check
knowledge and
that
stuff.
out. I'll have to
Yeah.
check that out actually. Right. Let's go on to if you were to think about transport mode, so like bus, train, or
Yeah,
car.
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 I've taken train for a number of years. And the delayed and all
Yeah.
that, I
Yeah. No,
prefer a car.
I'm with you on that one.
To
I
be honest,
am a
it
car
depends where
person.
you're going, really.
Yeah. Of course.
You don't
Of
want to take
course.
a car to central London, but
No
yeah.
chance. Don't do that. That's a mistake. Best productivity tip.
I actually got that from the book I'm reading right now, and it is don't write anything down until you've actually understood the concept.
Okay.
So yeah, so if you're, for example, revising for an exam or studying or in a lecture or lesson, don't write things down until you've actually understood what's going on. If you haven't understood, then ask someone. Because if you write things down and you don't understand it, when you come back to it later on, it's not like you're going to understand it then, right? So you'll probably be even
Mm,
more confused. So I think
yeah.
that's one advice, wherever you can.
Okay. Cool. One skill you wish school focused on more.
Report writing.
Yes, you did say that. Yeah, yeah. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
This is difficult. Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Do you know what? I agree with you. You have to believe in yourself. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
It says behind
Um,
you as well.
oh, yes, of course. Yeah. I didn't put the light on, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
there is a
that is
sign there.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. One thing you're most excited about right now.
So I've got a paper that I'm working on now. So I hopefully need to get published next year. And then I'll be presenting it at a conference. So this will be the first time I'm going to be presenting a whole paper at a conference, international conference. So that's
Amazing.
something I'm really excited about. And if I
Yeah.
manage to do that, then I feel like I've sort of completed my PhD
Yeah.
in that sense. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, really, well, good luck with that. But that's
Thank
really fantastic to hear. No, that's really good. Thank you for that. I think that was quite insightful, and I'll definitely look into that book actually.
you. Yeah,
I'm off right now, so I'll also share the link with people that may be interested as well.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely. But Fizan, thank you so much for sharing your journey from A-level chemistry to aerospace engineering to now cutting edge research in AI and air traffic management. And I know a lot of people will be able to relate to your story and some of the stuff that you shared with us today. And your story really shows that you don't need to have everything figured out early on. You should be curious and you should be resilient. And like you talked about perseverance and having strong foundation is more important sometimes than the grade that you get at the end of your A levels or wherever it may be you're taking at the moment. And the idea that it can take you into your decision making and your kind of plan for the future sometimes just works out for the best without you even realizing. And so thank you for sharing that with everyone today. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to Pathways to Success with Ali. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with somebody who may benefit from this, subscribe to the channel, and join us next time. And hopefully we can explore another Pathways to Success. So thank you for listening. And thank you, Fizan, again
Thank
for
you for
joining us
having me.
today.
Thank you.
Amazing.